Jake Morrison sat in his ship's pilot seat staring at the black screen in front of him. The coffee in his metal cup had gone cold hours ago. Space was quiet out here, far from Earth and far from trouble. That was how he liked it now. His ship, the Freedom's Edge, was not much to look at. The paint was old and scratched. Some of the metal plates did not fit right anymore, but the engines worked fine and the guns still fired when he needed them to. That was all that mattered to a man like Jake. 3 years ago, Jake had been a different person. He wore a clean uniform then. People called him Sergeant Morrison and said yes, sir, when he gave orders. He had believed in the Earth Defense Force and thought they were the good guys. That was before he saw what they really did to innocent people on the outer colonies. Now Jake worked alone. He found old ships floating in space and took what he could sell. Sometimes people hired him to move things from one place to another. No questions asked. It was not the life he had planned, but it was better than wearing a uniform for people who killed children. The warning light on his control panel started blinking red. Jake put down his coffee cup and checked the screen. Someone was sending out a distress signal. The signal was coming from near Charybdis, the black hole that ate ships for breakfast. Most people would ignore a signal from there. Ships that got too close to Charybdis never came back. The gravity was too strong. It pulled everything into darkness forever. But Jake was not most people. He had been close to that black hole before and lived to tell about it. He started his engines and flew toward the signal. As he got closer, he could see the problem. A ship was caught in the black hole's pull. It was being stretched and twisted by the massive gravity. Soon it would be torn apart completely. Jake looked at his scanner more carefully. The ship was not human. It was long and smooth, made of some kind of crystal material that caught the light from nearby stars. He had seen ships like this before. They belonged to the Zephyrians, an alien race that looked like living gems. What were they doing out here, Jake asked himself. Zephyrians usually stayed in their own space. They did not like humans very much, and humans did not trust them either. Jake flew his ship closer to get a better look. The Zephyrian ship was definitely dying. Parts of it were already breaking off and disappearing into the black hole. But his scanner showed something interesting. There was still life on board. Jake made a decision that would change everything. He turned on his ship's communication system and tried to contact whoever was still alive on that doomed ship. "This is Jake Morrison on the Freedom's Edge," he said into his microphone. "If anyone can hear me, I'm here to help." For a long moment, there was only silence. Then a voice came through his speakers. It was clearly alien, but the words were in perfect English. "Human ship, this is Princess Lyara of the Zephyrian Royal House. My escort ships have been destroyed. I am trapped in an escape pod that is losing power. Can you assist?" A princess, Jake almost laughed. Of all the people to find floating near a black hole, it had to be alien royalty. He looked at his scanner again. The escape pod was small and getting pulled toward the black hole just like the main ship. "I can try," Jake said. "But I need you to do exactly what I tell you. One mistake and we both die." "I understand," the princess replied. Her voice was calm, but Jake could hear the fear underneath. Jake started calculating angles and speeds in his head. The escape pod was moving fast toward the black hole. He would have only one chance to grab it with his ship's rescue beam. If he missed, the pod would be gone forever. He pushed his engines harder and flew in a wide circle around the dying Zephyrian ship. The gravity from the black hole was trying to pull his ship in too. Jake had to fight the controls to keep from losing. Of course. "Princess, I need you to fire your pod's emergency thruster on my signal," Jake said. "It will push you away from the black hole for just a few seconds. That's when I'll grab you." "Ready," she replied. Jake watched his scanner as the numbers changed. Rapidly. Distance, speed, gravity pull. Everything had to be perfect. He had done rescue missions during his military days, but never this close to a black hole. "Now," Jake shouted. The escape pod fired its thruster and jumped slightly away from the black hole. Jake activated his rescue beam at the same moment. A bright blue light shot out from his ship and wrapped around the small pod like a rope made of energy. "Got you," Jake said as he pulled the pod toward his ship. But the black hole was not done with them yet. The gravity was still pulling both ships toward destruction. Jake turned his ship around and fired his main engines at full power. The Freedom's Edge shook and groaned as it fought against the massive force trying to drag them into darkness. For several terrifying minutes, Jake was not sure they would make it. His engines were running hot and warning lights were flashing all over his control panel. But slowly, very slowly, they began to move away from the black hole. When they were finally safe, Jake opened his ship's cargo bay to bring the escape pod inside. He walked back to meet the person he had just risked his life to save. The escape pod's door opened with a soft hiss. Princess Liara stepped out, and Jake got his first good look at a real Zephyrian. She was tall and slim, with skin that looked like it was made of blue crystal. Her hair was white and seemed to glow with its own light. Her eyes were the color of deep space, dark blue with tiny points of light like distant stars. "Thank you," she said, looking directly at Jake. "You have saved my life." Jake nodded. "Just doing what anyone would do." "No," Princess Liara said firmly. "Not anyone would fly this close to Charybdis. You are either very brave or very foolish." "Probably both," Jake admitted. The princess smiled, and Jake noticed that even her smile seemed to glow slightly. "I was carrying important information to Earth. Information about a threat that could destroy both our peoples. But my escort ships were attacked before we could complete the mission." Jake felt his stomach drop. "What kind of threat?" "The Devourers," Princess Liara said quietly. "They are coming, and neither humans nor Zephyrians can stop them alone." Before Jake could ask more questions, his ship's alarm system started screaming. He ran to the bridge and looked at his scanner. 3 Earth Defense Force ships were approaching fast. "This is Captain Lisa Stone of the EDF Striker," a familiar voice said over the radio. "Jake Morrison, you are under arrest. Surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded." Jake looked back at Princess Liara, who had followed him to the bridge. Her glowing eyes were wide with concern. "It seems," Jake said with a bitter smile, "that saving your life just made both our lives a lot more complicated." Captain Lisa Stone's voice came through the radio again, louder this time. "Jake, I know you can hear me. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Jake looked at the 3 Earth Defense Force ships on his scanner. They were big, powerful warships, with enough firepower to turn his small ship into space dust. But Jake had one advantage. He knew how these ships worked because he used to serve on them. "What do we do?" Princess Liara asked. She stood beside Jake's pilot chair, her crystal skin glowing brighter when she was worried. "We run," Jake said. He started flipping switches and pressing buttons to prepare his ship for a fight. "But first, I need to know something. What exactly did you mean about the Devourers?" Princess Liara's star-filled eyes grew dark. "They are machines that eat entire worlds. They started attacking Zephyrian colonies 3 months ago. Our scientists think they will reach Earth space within a year." Jake felt cold inside. "How many worlds have they taken?" 7 so far, the princess said quietly. "Every living thing on those worlds is gone now. The Devourers turn everything into more machines to make their army bigger." "And Earth doesn't know about this?" Jake asked. "We tried to warn them. That is why I was coming to Earth. But someone attacked my ships before I could deliver the message." Jake thought about this as he watched the Earth Defense Force ships get closer. Maybe Captain Stone was not here to arrest him for being a rogue soldier. Maybe someone had told her to stop the princess from reaching Earth. "Hold on," Jake told Princess Liara. "This is going to get rough." Jake fired up his ship's special quantum drive. It was illegal technology that he had stolen from an Earth Defense Force research station. The drive could make his ship move faster than anything else in space, but only for a short time. The Freedom's Edge jumped forward like a rocket. Jake turned hard to the left, then right, then dove down toward the black hole again. The 3 Earth Defense Force ships followed, but they were big and slow compared to Jake's smaller ship. "Jake Morrison, stop running." Captain Stone's voice was angry now. "You're harboring a fugitive alien. Hand over the princess and we might go easy on you." "She's not a fugitive," Jake said into his radio. "She's a diplomatic messenger with important information for Earth." "That's not what our orders say," Captain Stone replied. Jake looked at Princess Liara. Seems like someone really doesn't want you to talk to Earth's leaders. The princess nodded. In my experience, when people try to stop important news from spreading, it means they benefit from keeping others ignorant. One of the Earth Defense Force ships fired a warning shot across Jake's bow. The energy beam lit up space in front of his ship. Next shot won't be a warning, Captain Stone said. Jake had an idea. It was dangerous, but all his ideas were dangerous these days. He turned his ship toward the event horizon of the black hole, where the gravity was strongest. "What are you doing?" Princess Leia asked. "Something stupid," Jake said. "The gravity near the black hole will mess with their targeting systems. Big ships like theirs can't maneuver down there safely." Jake dove his ship toward the swirling darkness of Charybdis. The 3 Earth Defense Force ships followed, but they had to slow down as the gravity got stronger. Jake's smaller ship could handle the stress better. "You're crazy, Jake." Captain Stone's voice was strained now. She was fighting to control her ship in the dangerous gravity field. Jake waited until the last possible second, then fired his quantum drive again. The Freedoms, edge shot out of the black hole's pull like a bullet from a gun. The 3 Earth Defense Force ships were left struggling to escape the gravity that was trying to pull them in. When Jake was sure they were safe, he set course for Freeport Station. It was a neutral trading post where Earth Defense Force ships were not allowed to follow. "That was incredible flying," Princess Liara said. "How did you learn to pilot like that?" "Military training," Jake said. "Plus 3 years of running from the same military that trained me." As they flew toward Freeport Station, Princess Liara told Jake more about the Devourers. They were not just random destroyers. They had a plan. They consumed worlds in a specific pattern, taking the ones with the most resources first. "Earth will be one of their main targets," she explained. "Your planet has everything they need: metals, energy, and billions of living beings to convert into more machines." Convert? Jake didn't like the sound of that. "The Devourers don't just kill people," Princess Liara said softly. "They turn them into part of their machine army. Everyone who dies becomes another enemy soldier." Jake felt sick. He had seen war before, but nothing like what the princess was describing. "So why come to me?" Jake asked. "I'm just one guy with one ship. What can I do against an army of machines?" Princess Liara was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that surprised Jake completely. "I don't want you to fight them. I want you to help me build something new." "What do you mean?" "My people need a new home," the princess said. "The Devourers are taking our worlds one by one. Soon we will have nowhere left to go. But I've been studying humans for years. You don't give up even when everything seems hopeless. You find ways to win that nobody else thinks of." Jake looked at her. "You want me to help you find a new planet?" "More than that," Princess Liara said. "I want you to help me build a place where humans and Zephyrians can work together. A colony where both our peoples can be safe from the Devourers." "That's impossible," Jake said. "Humans and Zephyrians don't get along. Our governments barely talk to each other." "Our governments are fools," the princess said firmly. "They're so busy arguing about territory and trade that they can't see the real threat coming. But you're different, Jake Morrison. You left your military because you wouldn't follow evil orders. You risked your life to save someone you didn't even know. You're exactly the kind of person I need to help me." Jake thought about what she was saying. A human Zephyrian colony did sound impossible. But then again, escaping from 3 warships near a black hole had seemed impossible too. "Even if we could find a planet," Jake said, "we'd need supplies, people, ships, weapons, food, everything. That takes money and connections. I'm a wanted criminal and you're a refugee princess. We don't exactly have resources." Princess Liara smiled and her crystal skin glowed brighter. "I may be a refugee, but I'm still a princess. I know where the Zephyrian government keeps emergency supply caches, and you know the human underworld better than any military officer. Together, we might be able to gather what we need." Jake stared out at the stars ahead of them. 3 years ago, he had given up on making the galaxy a better place. He had decided that all he could do was keep himself alive and try not to make things worse. But now this alien princess was asking him to do something bigger, something that might actually matter. Why me? Jake asked again. Really? Why not some diplomat or general or scientist? Because, Princess Liara said, diplomats talk but don't act. Generals follow orders but don't think. Scientists study problems but don't solve them. But you see what needs to be done and you do it even when it's dangerous. Jake was quiet for a while thinking. Finally he said, this colony idea of yours, it would have to be in neutral space somewhere neither Earth nor Zephyrian forces could claim it. Yes, the princess agreed, and we'd need to defend it from the Devourers when they eventually find it. Yes, and we'd have to convince two species that hate each other to work together. Yes. Jake laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. Princess, what you're describing isn't just difficult. It's completely insane. Princess Liara looked at him with those star-filled eyes. Jake Morrison, you just flew into a black hole to save a stranger. You fight impossible odds for a living. If anyone can do something completely insane and make it work, it's you. Jake looked at his scanner. Freeport Station was still several hours away. He had time to think about the princess's crazy proposal. But deep down, he already knew what his answer would be. He was tired of running. He was tired of hiding. Maybe it was time to try building something instead of just surviving. All right, princess, Jake said finally. Let's go build ourselves a colony. Freeport Station looked like a giant metal spider floating in space. Arms stretched out in all directions, covered with docking bays, shops, bars, and places where people made deals they didn't want governments to know about. Jake brought his ship into docking bay 7. As soon as the Freedom's Edge was locked in place, he turned to Princess Liara. Stay close to me, he said. This place is full of criminals, smugglers, and people who would sell their own mothers for the right price. Your crystal skin makes you stand out. Princess Liara had covered herself with a long brown coat that hid most of her glowing features. I understand. But Jake, we need these people. Criminals and outcasts are often the only ones willing to fight when everyone else has given up. Jake nodded. She was right, but it still made him nervous to bring alien royalty into a place like Freeport. They walked through the station's main corridor. The air smelled like engine oil, alien spices, and unwashed humans. People from dozens of different worlds walked by. Some human, some not. Most of them ignored Jake and Liara, which was exactly what Jake wanted. Jake Morrison, you son of a gun. Jake turned around and saw a big man with gray hair and scars on his face walking toward them. It was Ben Carter, Jake's old squad mate from his military days. Ben ran security for Freeport Station now. Ben, Jake said, shaking his friend's hand. Good to see you. Ben looked at Princess Liara with curiosity. Even with the coat, he could see that she wasn't human. Friend of yours? Ben asked. Something like that, Jake said. Ben, we need to talk somewhere private. Ben led them to his office, a small room filled with computer screens showing different parts of the station. Once the door was closed, Princess Liara pulled back her hood. Ben's eyes went wide. Holy stars, you're Zephyrian. Princess Liara, she said, offering her hand to shake. And before you ask, yes, I'm that princess, the one Earth's military is looking for. Ben sat down hard in his chair. Jake, what have you gotten yourself into? Jake told Ben everything. The rescue near the black hole, the Devourers, and their plan to build a colony. Ben listened without interrupting, his face getting more serious with every word. So let me get this straight, Ben said when Jake finished. You want to start a colony for humans and aliens to fight off an army of machines that eat planets? That's about the size of it, Jake said. Ben was quiet for a long time, then he started laughing. You know what, Jake? After 15 years of arresting drunk spacers and breaking up bar fights, this sounds like fun. You'll help us? Princess Liara asked. I didn't say that, Ben replied. But I know some people who might be interested. People who are tired of running from Earth Defense Force and alien military alike. Over the next few days, Ben introduced Jake and Princess Liara to the kind of people who lived on the edges of civilized space. There was Commander Rita Hayes, an Earth Defense Force officer who had gone rogue when she learned her superiors planned to abandon the outer colonies to save resources for defending Earth. "They're going to let millions of people die," Rita explained, over drinks in a quiet bar. "When the Devourers come, Earth's military will pull back to protect the core worlds and leave everyone else to be converted into machines." There was Tony Vasquez, a smuggler who moved supplies to colonies that Earth had officially abandoned. "I've been to 7 systems in the last month," he said. "All of them are getting ready to evacuate. People are scared, and their governments aren't helping." There was Kyvan, a young Zephyrian engineer whose family had been killed in the first Devourer attack. "I want revenge," he said simply. "But more than that, I want to build something they can't destroy." Princess Liara used her royal communication codes to contact other Zephyrians scattered across the galaxy. Many of them were refugees like Kyvan, looking for a new home and a way to fight back. "My cousin Jexara is an architect," she told Jake, one evening as they planned in Ben's office. "She's been designing buildings that can be built quickly on new worlds, and my old teacher, Vorath, knows ancient Zephyrian techniques for making crystal technology that could help defend a colony." Jake reached out to the human criminal networks he had worked with over the past 3 years. Many of the people he contacted were former military like him, soldiers who had seen too much corruption and violence from their own side. "I know at least 50 good people who would jump at the chance to build something instead of just stealing and smuggling," Jake told the group. "But we need more than people. We need a planet." That's when Tony Vasquez mentioned Terra Nova. "It's an old terraforming project from about 20 years ago," Tony explained. "Earth started making the planet suitable for human life, then abandoned it when they found richer worlds to colonize. But the terraforming mostly worked. The planet has breathable air, decent gravity, and plenty of water." "Why was it abandoned?" Princess Liara asked. "Strange energy readings," Tony said. "The terraforming crews kept finding weird ruins and artifacts. Nothing dangerous, just odd. Made the corporate bosses nervous." Jake and Princess Liara looked at each other. Ancient ruins on an abandoned world might be exactly what they needed, a place no one else wanted, where they could build their colony in peace. "We'll need ships to get everyone there," Jake said, "and supplies, food, tools, weapons, building materials." "I can help with that," Commander Rita Hayes said. "I've got contacts in the Earth Defense Force who are tired of following stupid orders. Some of them might be willing to lose a few supply ships if it means helping people instead of abandoning them. And I know where my people keep emergency supply caches," Princess Liara added. "Food, medical supplies, and crystal technology that could help build a new settlement quickly." Over the next week, their small group grew larger. Word spread through the underground networks about a crazy plan to build a human alien colony. Some people laughed at the idea. Others were interested. A few were desperate enough to try anything. Jake found himself in the strange position of being a leader again. People came to him with questions and problems, expecting him to have answers. It reminded him of his military days, but this time, he was fighting for something he actually believed in. "You're good at this," Princess Liara told him one evening, as they walked through Freeport Station's market district. "Good at what?" Jake asked. "Leading people. Giving them hope. Making them believe that impossible things can happen." Jake thought about that. "I'm just trying to keep everyone alive and focused. Same thing I did in the war." "No," Princess Liara said. "In the war, you were following someone else's orders. Now you're fighting for your own cause. There's a difference." As they walked, Jake noticed how the princess talked to everyone they met, human, alien, criminal, or refugee. She listened to their stories and their problems. She remembered their names and their families. She treated everyone with the same respect she would show to royalty. "You're pretty good at this leadership thing yourself," Jake told her. Princess Liara smiled. "I've been training to lead my people since I was a child. But I never thought I would be leading them to build a new world alongside humans. Are you okay with that?" Jake asked. "Working with humans, I mean. Most Zephyrians think we're primitive and violent." "Most humans think Zephyrians are cold and arrogant," the princess replied. "Both sides are wrong. We're just different, but different doesn't have to mean enemies." That night, Jake got a communication from one of his old contacts. The message was short but alarming. Earth Defense Force is mobilizing. 3 fleets heading for neutral space. Watch your back. Jake showed the message to Princess Liara and the others. They're looking for us, Commander Rita Hayes said. My former commanders must have figured out that rogue officers are helping you. And they know I escaped, Princess Liara added. They can't stop me from warning Earth about the Devourers. They might try to stop us from building our colony. Jake looked around the room at the people who had joined their cause. Humans and Zephyrians, former soldiers and reformed criminals, engineers and dreamers. All of them were risking their lives for an idea that might not even work. Then we better move fast, Jake said. How soon can we get everyone to Terra Nova? 2 weeks, Ben Carter said. Maybe less if we push hard. The Devourers won't wait for us to be ready, Kaivan pointed out. My people's scouts report that they're moving faster than expected. They might reach this sector within 6 months. Jake felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. In 6 months, they needed to not just build a colony, but turn it into something that could defend itself against an army of planet-eating machines. All right, everyone, Jake said. Let's go build ourselves a miracle. Terra Nova was more beautiful than Jake had expected. The planet's surface was covered with green forests, blue oceans, and mountain ranges that touched the clouds. The terraforming teams had done their job well before abandoning the world. Jake stood on a hill overlooking the site where they planned to build their colony. Next to him, Princess Liara was examining some of the strange crystal formations that grew naturally from the ground. These aren't normal crystals, she said, her voice excited. They're resonating with some kind of energy deep underground. The ruins? Jake asked. Maybe. We need to explore them before we start building. If there's dangerous technology down there, we should know about it. Behind them, the first wave of colonists was unloading supplies from their ships. Humans and Zephyrians worked side by side, though Jake noticed they stayed in separate groups. Building trust between the two species was going to take time. Ben Carter walked up the hill toward them, carrying a data pad full of reports. We've got 53 humans and 27 Zephyrians on the ground so far, he said. More ships are coming in every day. Any problems? Jake asked. A few arguments about where to put the housing units and some complaints about the food, Ben replied. But nothing serious. People are too excited about building something new to cause real trouble. Dr. Elena Foster, the archaeologist they had recruited on Freeport Station, came running up the hill. She was out of breath but smiling. Jake, Princess, you have to see what we found in the ruins. They followed Dr. Foster down into a valley where the ancient alien structures were located. The buildings were made of the same crystal material that grew naturally on the planet, but they had been shaped into complex geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. The energy readings are off the charts, Dr. Foster explained as they walked through the ruins. But it's not dangerous energy, it's more like potential, as if these crystals are waiting for something to activate them. Princess Liara knelt down and placed her hand on one of the crystal formations. Her own crystal. Skin began to glow in response, and the ancient crystal started pulsing with soft light. I can feel it, she said softly. It's like a network, connecting all the crystal formations across the planet, but it's incomplete, missing something. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Missing what? A consciousness to guide it, Princess Omo, Liara said. The original builders must have had some way of controlling this network, but they're gone now. Dr. Foster led them deeper into the ruins, to a large chamber filled with strange symbols carved into crystal walls. In the center of the room was a pillar of pure black crystal that seemed to absorb light. We've been translating the symbols, Dr. Foster said. They tell the story of the race that built this place. They called themselves the Harmony, and they were fighting something they called the Swarm. The Devourers, Princess Liara whispered. That's what we think too. According to these carvings, the Harmony developed this crystal network as a weapon against the Swarm, but using it required perfect cooperation between different species. The Harmony couldn't achieve that level of unity, so they couldn't activate the weapon. Jake looked around the chamber. What happened to them? The swarm consumed their civilization, Dr. Foster said sadly. But they left this place as a message for whoever came after them, a warning and maybe a chance for someone else to succeed where they failed. Over the following weeks, the colony grew rapidly. More ships arrived every day, bringing refugees from both human and Zephyrian worlds. Colonel Sam Davis, a former Earth military engineer, designed the layout of their city. Jexara, Princess Liara's cousin, created beautiful buildings that combined human practicality with Zephyrian crystal technology. Jake found himself working 18-hour days, solving problems and making decisions about everything from food distribution to defensive positions. He was tired, but it was a good kind of tired. For the first time in years, he felt like he was building something instead of just destroying or stealing. "You look exhausted," Princess Liara said one evening as they sat together watching the sunset over their growing city. "I feel great," Jake replied. "Tired, but great." Princess Liara leaned against his shoulder. Over the past month, they had grown closer. Working together, sharing the same dreams and fears had created a bond between them that Jake had never experienced before. "Jake," she said quietly, "when this is over, when we've built our colony and found a way to stop the devourers, what do you want to do?" Jake thought about that. "I don't know. I've been focused on survival for so long I never thought about what comes after. I want to explore the galaxy," Princess Liara said. "Not as a princess or a diplomat, but as someone free to go wherever I choose. Maybe we could do that together." Jake felt his heart skip a beat. "I'd like that." Their quiet moment was interrupted by Marcus Bell, a former Earth admiral who had joined their colony after his own government tried to have him assassinated for asking too many questions about their defense plans. "Jake, Princess, we have a problem," Marcus said urgently. "Our scouts have detected ships approaching the system. A lot of ships." Jake and Princess Liara ran to the colony's command center, where Kaivan was monitoring their long-range sensors. 3 fleets, Kaivan reported. 2 Earth Defense Force battle groups and 1 Zephyrian Royal Navy squadron. They'll be here in 6 hours. "Both governments are coming for us," Princess Liara said grimly. "They must have decided that our colony is too dangerous to allow." Jake looked at the tactical display. Even with all the weapons they had gathered, the colonists couldn't fight 3 military fleets and win. "We need to evacuate," Marcus Bell said. "Get as many people off planet as possible before they arrive." "No," Jake said firmly. "We're not running anymore. This is our home now." "Jake, be reasonable," Ben Carter said. "We can't fight that many ships." Princess Liara was staring at the display of the ancient crystal network that Dr. Foster had mapped across the planet. "Maybe we don't have to fight them," she said slowly. "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "The crystal weapon the Harmony built. Dr. Foster said it required perfect cooperation between different species. But what if we've already achieved that cooperation? Humans and Zephyrians working together, building something new." Jake looked around the command center. Humans and Zephyrians were working side by side, sharing information and ideas without any of the mistrust that had kept their species apart for decades. "You think we can activate the weapon?" Jake asked. "Not a weapon," Princess Liara corrected. Dr. Foster's translations were incomplete. The crystal network isn't designed to destroy, it's designed to unite, to create understanding between different minds. Kaivan looked up from his sensors. "The fleets are accelerating. They'll be in weapons range in 4 hours." Jake made a decision that would determine the fate of everyone on Terra Nova. "Princess, if this crystal network can really create understanding between species, then maybe it's time to test it. But we'll need to get close to the source crystal in the ruins." "The one in the chamber," Princess Liara nodded. "But Jake, we don't know what will happen if we activate it. We could accidentally destroy ourselves instead of creating unity, or we could create something that changes the galaxy forever," Jake replied. "Something that makes wars between species impossible because everyone understands each other." They prepared to descend into the ruins. Jake realized that this might be their last chance to build the peaceful future they had dreamed of. The approaching fleets would either be the end of their colony or the beginning of something much larger. "Are you ready?" Princess Liara asked as they stood before the black crystal pillar in the ancient chamber. Jake took her hand. Her crystal skin was warm against his human flesh, and he could feel the energy flowing between them. Not just the attraction he felt for her, but something deeper. A connection that bridged the gap between their species. "Let's change the galaxy," Jake said. Jake and Princess Liara stood hand in hand before the black crystal pillar in the ancient chamber. Above them, 3 military fleets were moving into attack position. Jake could hear radio chatter from the colony's command center as Ben Carter tried to coordinate their limited defenses. "This is Admiral Kyle Warren of the Earth Defense Force," a voice boomed across the planet's communication system. "By order of Earth Command, you will surrender the fugitive Princess Liara and disperse your illegal colony immediately." At the same time, a Zephyrian voice spoke in the crystal-like language of Princess Liara's people. She translated for Jake. "The Royal Navy demands the return of Princess Liara to face trial for treason against the Zephyrian crown. Both our governments want to stop us," Princess Liara said sadly. "They would rather fight each other than work together against the real threat." Jake squeezed her hand. "Then it's up to us to show them a better way." Princess Liara placed her free hand on the black crystal pillar. The moment her crystal skin touched the ancient artifact, the entire chamber filled with light. The pillar began to pulse with energy that Jake could feel in his bones. "I can sense the network," Princess Liara said, her eyes closed in concentration. "It's vast, covering the entire planet, but it needs both of us to activate it fully. Human determination and Zephyrian connection to crystal technology." Jake placed his hand next to hers on the pillar. The moment his skin touched the crystal, his mind exploded with sensation. He could suddenly feel the thoughts and emotions of everyone on Terra Nova, human and Zephyrian alike. The fear, the hope, the determination to protect what they had, built together. But the network wanted more than just the people on the planet. It was reaching out toward the approaching fleets, trying to connect with the minds of the soldiers in those ships. "They're starting to fire," Kyvan's voice came through their communication devices. "Energy weapons targeting the colony." Jake felt the crystal network respond to the threat. But instead of creating shields or firing back, it did something unexpected. It reached into the minds of the people firing those weapons and showed them what the colonists were really doing. Admiral Kyle Warren was standing on the bridge of his flagship when the crystal energy touched his mind. Suddenly, he could see Terra Nova through Jake's eyes, not as an illegal colony that threatened Earth's security, but as a place where humans and aliens worked together to build something beautiful. Captain Lisa Stone was preparing to fire on Jake's position when the UI network showed her Princess Liara's memories of the Devourer attacks. She saw entire worlds consumed by machines, billions of lives lost, and the desperate need for unity against a threat that neither species could face alone. In the Zephyrian ships, officers who had come to arrest Princess Liara for treason suddenly understood her real mission. They felt the connection between her and Jake, saw the love and trust that had grown between human and Zephyrian colonists, and realized that this might be the key to saving both their peoples. "Jake," Princess Liara said, her voice strained from the effort of channeling so much energy. "The network is working, but we need to do more. The Devourers are coming. I can sense them at the edge of the system." Jake opened his mind fully to the crystal network. Through its vast consciousness, he could see space around Terra Nova. The 3 military fleets had stopped firing and were talking to each other instead of fighting. But beyond them, at the very edge of the star system, dark shapes were moving toward the planet. The Devourers had found them. "How many ships?" Jake asked through their mental connection. "Hundreds," Princess Liara replied. "More than all our fleets, combined." But as the Devourer ships approached, something unexpected happened. The crystal network that connected Terra Nova to the human and Zephyrian fleets began to spread further. It reached out to other star systems, connecting minds across vast distances. On Earth, government leaders suddenly felt the fear of colonists facing an unstoppable enemy. In Zephyrian space, military commanders experienced human determination and refusal to surrender. Across the galaxy, members of both species began to understand that they had been fighting the wrong enemy. "By all the stars," Admiral Warren's voice came over the communication system. "Jake, Princess, what have you done?" "We've shown everyone the truth," Jake replied. "Humans and Zephyrians aren't enemies. We're allies who just didn't know it yet." The Devourer fleet had reached the outer planets of the system and was accelerating toward Terra Nova. Jake could see them clearly now through the crystal network. Massive black ships that looked like they had been grown rather than built. Each ship pulsed with dark energy that consumed everything it touched. But the human and Zephyrian fleets were moving too. Instead of fighting each other, they were forming a defensive line between the Devourers and Terra Nova. "This is Captain Stone," Lisa's voice came over the radio. "All ships form up on my position. We're going to buy the colonists time to evacuate." "Negative," Jake said into his communicator. "No evacuation. We're going to make our stand here." Through the crystal network, Jake felt Princess Liara's surprise. "Jake, even with the fleets helping us, we can't win against that many Devourers." "We don't need to win," Jake said. "We need to do what the Harmony couldn't. We need to show the galaxy that different species can work as one." Jake reached deeper into the crystal network, connecting not just with the minds around Terra Nova, but with the vast web of consciousness that now linked humans and Zephyrians across known space. Millions of minds joined together, sharing knowledge, courage, and hope. The first Devourer ships reached the defensive line and opened fire. Human and Zephyrian vessels fought side by side, their different technologies working together in ways that neither species had imagined possible. But the real battle was being fought in the crystal chamber where Jake and Princess Liara stood. The network was analyzing the Devourer ships, learning how they worked, searching for weaknesses. "They're not just machines," Princess Liara said suddenly. "There are organic minds controlling them, minds that were once like ours before they were converted." Jake felt sick as he realized what she meant. The Devourers weren't just killing people and turning them into machines. They were trapping their consciousness inside those machines, forcing them to serve the collective that had destroyed their worlds. "Can we free them?" Jake asked. "Maybe," Princess Liara said. "But it would require expanding the network to touch their minds directly. And that means getting close to their ships," Jake finished. Through the communication system, Jake called to the fleets. "Admiral Warren, Captain Stone, this is Jake Morrison. I need you to get our ships as close to the Devourer fleet as possible." "That's suicide," Admiral Warren replied. "No," Jake said. "That's hope." The human and Zephyrian ships pressed forward, taking heavy damage but managing to close the distance to the Devourer fleet. As they got closer, the crystal network was able to reach into the dark ships and touch the trapped minds within. Jake felt Princess Liara gasp as the network made contact. The pain and terror of billions of enslaved consciousness flooded into their shared awareness. But along with the pain came something else, the desperate desire to be free. "Now," Princess Liara whispered. Together, Jake and Princess Liara sent a pulse of liberation through the crystal network. It reached into every Devourer ship, touching every trapped mind, and offered them a choice: remain enslaved to the collective, or break free and remember who they used to be. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Across the Devourer fleet, ships began to slow down, then stop, then turn against each other as freed minds fought to regain control of their mechanical bodies. The battle was over in minutes. Without the enslaved consciousness to control them, the Devourer ships became just empty machines floating in space. Jake and Princess Liara collapsed to the floor of the crystal chamber, exhausted from the effort of freeing so many minds. But they were still connected to the network, and through it they could feel the joy and relief spreading across the galaxy. "It's done," Princess Liara said weakly. "The Devourers are stopped." "Not stopped," Jake corrected. "Freed. Just like the rest of us." 1 year later, Jake stood on the observation deck of Terra Nova's new city hall, watching ships from dozens of different species land at the planet's spaceport. The crystal network had continued to spread across the galaxy, creating understanding and cooperation between races that had never trusted each other before. Princess Liara joined him at the window, carrying a datapad full of reports from their growing colony. The Council of Worlds approved our proposal, she said happily. Terra Nova is officially recognized as the first multi-species colony in galactic history. Jake smiled and put his arm around her shoulders. And the refugee program? Better than we hoped. We've resettled over 1 million people from both human and Zephyrian worlds, plus refugees from 12 other species. The old Devourer victims are adapting well to freedom. Through the window, they could see humans, Zephyrians, and various other alien species working together in the colony streets. Children of different races played together in parks designed by artists from multiple worlds. You know what the best part is? Jake said. What? We're not done yet. This is just the beginning. Princess, Lyara smiled and leaned against him. So what's next for us, Jake Morrison?